It's always fun meeting some of the other media types around the state in my travels. About 2 years ago, I met Craig Worrell. He's the sports editor at the Galax Gazette in Salem. I met him, I believe, when the Galax boys were taking on Twin Springs, I believe, in their first quest for their state championship, which they did when it was the state quarterfinal at the Salem Civic Center. Craig, nicest guy you'll want to meet. He joined me on the Sports Buffet podcast to talk about the remaining teams Galax has. Baseball and boys soccer looking for state crowns. Let's hear about those teams of the Maroon Tide from Craig Worrell, sports editor, Galax Gazette, on the Sports Buffet podcast. Craig Worrell, Galax Gazette sports editor, joins me on the Sports Buffet podcast, and it's getting to that time of year where state championships are getting ready to be decided. Craig, Galax has 2 teams left. Let's start with baseball. Tell me about the Maroon Tide's baseball squad and why they might have a good chance to bring home another state title to Galax.
I think the biggest thing in their favor is pitching depth. Grayson County made 2 state finals in the 08 and 07, and when you get that far, it really comes down to, I think, the pitching depth. Galax doesn't have one dominant pitcher, but they've got a 3 or 4 solid number 2s, if that makes sense, and they can put any one of those kids out there and get strikes and location, and I think that'll be a big benefit to them. They can hit pretty much with anybody, and they're a very good defensive team.
Talk about how Region C is normally in baseball year in, year out. What type of baseball is being played there, and is it a tough region?
It's an excellent region. Back to the John Battle days, Glenver, Grayson County has won a state baseball championship, James River. Just the last 2 years they have split into divisions. And I didn't see as much strength out of the D1 field this year. I know Holston had a rough time in the regional finals, but Galax was, very, very clearly the best team in Region C D1.
And, I'm a big believer in winning leads to more winning. I know, obviously, a lot of winning has happened on the hardwood for Galax in the past few years with the basketball team. How many carryovers do they have onto the baseball field from that team?
They have, I'd say 4 or 5, and actually right now I'm writing a story on 2 kids who have 5 state championships, 2 basketball and 3 golf. It's just an incredible senior class at Galax right now. They made the state finals in football. They've won 2 bilateral golf championships. They have a couple individual state wrestling champions. It's just been an incredible year to be a sports writer in Galax.
Talk a little bit about those 2 young men that are going to be featured in your article.
Eddie Hanks and John Aloof. They were very fine golfers. They're good baseball players. Eddie, his dad was my hero growing up. His dad played baseball for my dad, and was just an exceptional athlete. And younger Eddie Hanks is the same way. Just good at everything he does. Good hitter, good fielder. And Aloof kid has really come on as a pitcher and leads the team in hitting. He kind of came out of nowhere in my estimation of it. He's hitting close to 500. And I guess if there had to be a number 1 pitcher, that would be John Aloof.
And, you and I both know, too, from being around single A schools for many years, you cannot be a successful athletics program in single A if you don't share athletes as well.
That's right. Some of these kids, I think there were 3 on the baseball team who played in the region final Saturday night who were in the state track meet Saturday morning. A lot of the cross-country kids play golf. A lot of the track kids play soccer or baseball. They have a very high rate of participation, female and male sports at Galax.
talk a little bit about the, we haven't talked about the coaching, talk a little bit about the coaching of the baseball program.
I think Ronald Minkins has done an excellent job. They had a heartbreaking finish to last year. They lost a 7-run lead in the 7th inning of last year's region semifinals. And I know that was hard on everybody, but Ronald is very good at stays positive. He keeps the kids positive. And he knows the game. He knows how to coach baseball. Played at King College, which is a solid NAIA program when he was there. I'm really happy for the kids, but I'm especially happy for Ronald.
Let's talk about boys soccer, too, because they also have a chance to do some things this week. And this weekend they'll have Gate City on Tuesday. Then they hopefully will have some action at Radford on Friday starting at 4 o'clock. Give me your estimation of Galax boys soccer team.
Well, the baseball team's making its first state appearance, I think, in 41 years. The soccer team seems to be there every year. They've made, this will be their third year in a row they've made state. I think 5 out of the last 7, something like that. They've always, there's such a strong Hispanic presence on the team that they've always got excellent soccer players. But I think they're just a better team this year. I was listening to the James River coach in the region semifinals talking about, to his kids, talking about Galax, and said, these aren't the same Galax kids from a year ago. He said they are very, very much better technically. And you've got to do that to beat a Radford team 3-1. They've never, as far as I know, never beaten Radford in the postseason. They've lost to them the last 4 years and lost the state championship to them in 2008. And Radford is an excellent technical soccer team.
And, to me, in all these sports, it seems like every time Galax goes out there, whether it's baseball, soccer, what have you, they expect to win. And I think when you expect to win, you've got an advantage over the other team.
Well, these kids have won their whole lives, from Dixie ball when they were 10, 12 years old. They've just grown up as winners. I know the pressure of being in the state tournament is not going to affect them because every kid just got on that baseball team. This will be their second or third time, some of them this year in a state event. Soccer kids, they've got these heroes from years past to look up to, and the tradition and the passion that they play with. It's just an exceptional senior class. They expect to win, and they do.
And I was going to say, too, even for some of these kids that may not have been on one of these, teams that have gone to the state, especially like you talk about with the baseball team having not been there in 4+ decades, even if you went to Richmond and watched them play basketball the past couple of years, you at least see what a state experience is like, to where I don't think it's maybe as much, shell shock, if you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. It'll be old hat to most of them. Mm-hmm. And certainly basketball is a more pressure-packed arena than a baseball field, just by the nature of the game. So I'm pretty sure they'll handle themselves in that respect of it.
Well, Craig, definitely will be pulling for the Maroon Tide all week. We thank you for your time, and we will read you in the Galax Gazette as well. Have a good time, hopefully in Radford, Friday and Saturday.
I hope so. Thanks for having me.